Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to take a closer look at two important AI companies. We're going to take a closer look at Coreweave. The stock was up roughly 8.5%. I want to share my overall thoughts on this one, as it is a big player in my overall portfolio. But we also got some interesting news about Nvidia. Jensen shares some thoughts about the AMD an OpenAI deal. And we also just got some recent news about maybe some approval of more NVIDIA chips into another part of the world. Let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first let's start off with Coreweave. And for those that are not familiar, these two companies are a majority of my portfolio right now. Coreweave is a stock we've been talking about here in the sub $100. So I'm very happy for anybody who kind of followed the videos, did their own research, and got into the stock in that under $100 price point. We are doing really, really well. Right now, the stock is sitting at $140. And there are a few things I want to mention. First, CoreWeave has announced a few updates in recent acquisitions and recent products, where the CEO has actually been in a few interviews that I would recommend and investors watch. First, on Bloomberg Technology about a day ago, they had about an 8-minute interview here. And Corey's mentioned two things. The first thing is they talk about their acquisition of Core Scientific, and they believe it's still going to go through, but they're not going to change the price of the acquisition at all. So whatever the price is right now, that's what they're sticking. If the acquisition doesn't go through, it's not necessarily a deal breaker for CoreWeave, because CoreWeave still has already a lot of their power rented out, and they're already great partners, right? It doesn't really have much of, in my opinion, a true bearish case if the deal doesn't go through. Now, Coreweave is a stock I still believe is a multi-bagger opportunity. With the recent rise up in just a quick month, right? Almost 40% in 1 month. To me, this is more of a small dollar cost averaging, and any pull down is ones where I would want to accumulate a little bit more. But right now, I'm very, very happy with my position size here in Coreweave. Now, the second thing that they talk about is they gave a new number of contracted pipeline of power. In their previous earnings, they mentioned 2.2 gigawatts. They mentioned with the new contracts that they have now, it's over 2.8 gigawatts of contracted power, pipeline of power that they have. So eventually that power will be able to be turned on, and they will be able to put AI GPUs in them. CoreWeave is the best at what they're doing so far. I believe CoreWeave is in this AI era, in this AI race. If this changes, if the market changes away from the AI race, but if this AI race continues, I could see CoreWeave being $100 billion market cap in just a year, and a many multi-bagger in the next 5 years, as they have a massive, massive strength in AI infrastructure built out that no other player out there, in my opinion, except maybe Nebius might have in forms of somewhat competition. But in forms of the scale out, I don't think there's anybody out there outside of the major cloud service providers that can compete against CoreWeave right now. Now, there was another interview that the CEO had on CNBC, where he pushes back against the circular investment concerns. I pretty much believe there's no concerns here, but obviously the bearish out there see this as a ultimate bubble that's going to burst in the next few months. Eventually, it might become a bubble. I don't think we're there just yet, but these are two interviews, if you are a CoreWeave investor, that I would recommend you watching. It's probably less than 20 minutes of total time, but you do get to learn a lot about the company's recent plans. Now, on October 6th, which was about 2 days ago, CoreWeave did acquire Monolith AI, which is expanding AI cloud platform into industrial innovation, which I think is pretty interesting. So this acquisition strengthens CoreWeave's position in manufacturing, automotive, aerospace, and other industrial sectors. They announced an agreement to acquire Monolith AI Limited, a pioneer in applying artificial intelligence and machine learning to solve complex physics and engineering challenges. It enables the combined companies to offer a full stack platform for industrial and manufacturing enterprises. The aim is to enable users to shorten R&D cycles, accelerate product development and design, and unlock new levels of competitive advantage through AI-driven innovations. Now, the Monolith's platform is already being used by a lot of big companies like Misa, BMW, and Honeywell to cut months out of the product development cycle and accelerate innovation. Now, the reason I like this acquisition is because if you know me, I'm a huge Nvidia fan, probably the biggest there. And I don't think there's anybody out there doing Nvidia videos for free that have the knowledge that I do. If and I, I'm extremely competitive. I don't think there's anybody out there that knows the AI semiconductor space and gives free information like I do. So if you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. The goal is now 85,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Let's see if we can get there. But the reason I like this acquisition of Monolith AI is Jensen has talked about how industrial markets, the manufacturing market, every type of industrial and auto manufacturing company is going to need some form of digital twin, some form of AI platform to help develop that. I think this acquisition here can kind of help in that aspect and that vision that Jensen has been talking about. And every time CoreWeave aligns themselves into something Jensen has mentioned is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. I think they have gotten it right so far. The second thing, CoreWeave today on October 8th announced the launch of the first publicly available serverless reinforcement learning capability to build reliable AI agents. Again, something that matches with what Jensen, NVIDIA CEO, has said. What is the next era of AI push? Some form of AI agents. So today they announced the launch of Serverless RL, a fast and easy way to train AI agents using reinforcement learnings. And this is because of a recent acquisition that they did in early September of OpenPipe, and also an acquisition they did earlier this year of Weightbase's AI developer platform, and all being powered by CoreWeave's AI cloud infrastructure. So this is another industry, another segment within the AI portion where they could continue to grow their overall AI solutions. Now, jumping, and again, all this is what makes me believe CoreWeave will be a $100 billion market cap by the end of the next 12 months and a multi-bagger in the long term of things. At the same time, because of the massive run-up in just a month or so, I could see pull downs happening very often, and any form of random AI news can create negative volatility for the stock and the overall industry. Now, when we talk about Nvidia, Nvidia right now finished the day at $189. It was up roughly 2.2%. Now, if we do look at overnight hours, the stock is actually sitting at $191. It is breaking over that $190. We also see excitement for AMD. AMD is up to $239, up roughly 1.5%. The main reason is just a few minutes ago, we saw that the US approved some Nvidia UAE sales, which obviously is a market that if maybe you watched the video 2-3 days ago, we saw that Nvidia's billion-dollar AI shipments to UAE suddenly put on hold. As we actually saw this about a week ago, right? There were some delays in some of the UAE chips sent to promised, just because of some policies being discussed within nations. Based on what happened today, it seems like now US is giving the approval to Nvidia to send some of those chips to the Middle East. And obviously that's beneficial for both Nvidia, as they're going to be a big player here, but AMD also does have some contracts in UAE that they announced when this massive UAE AI investment happened. So both companies are up after hours, and it gets me pretty excited because, as you know me, we're both big into Nvidia and AMD. Now, the other thing that, but right now these are reports, right? We haven't gotten any confirmations. Bloomberg just reported this about an hour ago, citing people familiar with the matters. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Jensen has had 2 interviews at CNBC in the past week or so. The first was with Jim Cramer in their investing club, and I'm pretty sure you can find that online. The second is one at Squawk Box. Obviously, if you're an Nvidia investor or if you're just an AI investor, I recommend watching them as you get a lot of insight into what the space is covering. And maybe later throughout this week, if you want, I'll maybe do a bigger deep dive on some of the things we learned from Jensen. But the one that really caught my attention was this, and my boy Amit here kind of talked about it. And it was Jensen Huang talked about OpenAI's and AMD deal. So Jensen mentioned, I saw the deal. It's unique and surprising considering they were so excited about their next generation product. I'm surprised that they would give away 10% of the company before they even built it. Anyways, it's clever, I guess. I don't know if it's just me. It sounded like shots fired. It's like, how are you, someone who's been talking, and this is the hard part, right? I'm both an Nvidia and AMD bulls, but at certain points, I got to put my Nvidia hat. At certain portions, I have to put my AMD hats. Right now, I'm putting my Nvidia hats on, so I'm sorry, AMD bulls, but there is some truth to this. AMD was super excited about the next generation product. And for those that are not familiar, it's the MI400, which comes in various flavors like the MI450. The MI450 is the first server rack scale solution that AMD will have. The ability to scale a lot of GPUs together, not just 8 anymore. And this is very crucial for AI workloads. They're also building the massive rack scale, something they haven't done, right? And this is what you need to do in the AI market. This was going to be their Milan moment there, which was the moment where the server CPU started to really take care of Intel. So this was going to be the moment where this product was really going to start to hand it at Nvidia. But you have to give up 10% of your company to be able to get massive orders for it, even though it's a revolutionary product. Then maybe your product is not as revolutionary as you think. Or maybe my products, talking here in Jensen's voice, are just so much better that I don't need to give away 10% of the business. And right, if you know your product is going to be super crazy, why not try to offer maybe something else opposed to 10% equity? So I saw it's a little competitive market here. I agree that it's very unique. I am going to talk a little bit more about it as AMD shareholder in AMD Weekly this Saturday. So make sure to stay tuned to AMD Weekly this Saturday. But obviously, I'm very bullish of this. I believe the OpenAI and AMD deal gives it the opportunity for AMD to reach $1 trillion in the next 5 years in market cap. But Jensen does have some sense to it, right? With the OpenAI and Nvidia deal, Nvidia actually gets equity in OpenAI. I don't believe that's what's happening here with AMD and OpenAI, right? It's more just OpenAI actually taking shares and being able to kind of use that as a financing extent. Overall, interesting. I'm going to have to talk a little bit more about it during AMD's Weekly, but I just wanted to share Jensen thoughts. And again, if you want to learn more about Jensen, definitely recommend watching the past 2 interviews as you get a nice insight of the overall AI semiconductor industry. Now, I am still in Arizona for a semiconductor conference until Saturday. I would say my videos will be coming out a lot later than usual.